If this story struck a nerve, don't stay silent. Tell us in the comments. Have you ever had to protect your future from your own family? Drop a if you've ever had to walk away from someone with your last name. And subscribe for more true stories that they never saw coming. They say forgiveness sets you free. But sometimes, freedom comes from finally letting go of the lie that someone ever deserved it. Delilah pled guilty. Identity theft. Fraud. The charges sounded clinical on paper, but they barely scratched the surface of what she'd tried to do. The court gave her probation and mandatory therapy. A restraining order barred her from contacting me or Marcus for 2 years, but the damage was already done, not just to our wedding plans, but to the foundation of what I used to call family. She sent one letter, just one, written under her lawyer's supervision. No apology, no explanation, just a single line. I hope you're happy now. I stared at those 5 words for a long time, folded the paper once, then again, and dropped it in the trash without blinking. Because yes, I was happy. Not just because the wedding had gone on, not because we looked beautiful in the photos or because the flowers turned out perfect. I was happy because for the first time in years I stopped shrinking to make someone else comfortable. I stopped minimizing betrayal just because it came wrapped in blood ties and childhood memories. Our wedding was small, private. Every guest had to show ID at the gate. It felt ridiculous until it didn't. And when I looked around that night, at the candles, the laughter, Marcus's steady hand in mine, it all felt worth it. Because what we'd built had survived a storm. And that made it unshakable. Marcus's grandmother's ring sparkled on my finger. The real one, the one that carried legacy, love, and truth. Not the knockoff Delilah had bought for her fantasy. That ring reminded me that real things, real love, real trust, can't be stolen. They have to be earned. Sometimes I still catch myself checking her Instagram, not because I miss her, but because a part of me wants to know if she's spiraling again, if she's pretending everything's fine, if she's found a new life to mimic. But then I remember that night, the glass of wine, the fake smile, the slow unraveling of her lies, and I closed the app. Some bridges were meant to burn. People ask me now if I regret involving the police, if I went too far, if it could have been handled as a family. My therapist says no. My parents still aren't sure. But every time I open my laptop without fear, every time I swipe my credit card knowing my name is safe, every time Marcus and I sit together in our home, unshaken, I know I made the right call. Because family isn't about sharing DNA, it's about boundaries, about truth, about choosing people who would never dream of wearing your life like a costume just to feel whole. And sometimes, love means letting go. Sometimes it means calling the police. And sometimes it means changing all your passwords and never looking back. No, I said. I think I deserve to live my life without it being stolen by someone I trusted. She stood up, wine glass still in hand, her eyes glinting with something unhinged. I'm tired of being the screw-up sister, of watching you win while I rot. I pulled out the printed emails, the screenshots, the flagged login history, the vendors, the credit reports, the fake emails from my address. You want to tell me this was all a misunderstanding? Her mouth opened, then closed. Her shoulders dropped. This is all in your head, she muttered, weaker now. But Marcus stepped into the room. Calm. Steady. It's not. You just confessed. On camera. He held up his phone. You walked straight into your own mess. Delilah's face went white, then red. Then came the smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. Go ahead, she sneered. Call the cops. Tell them your pathetic sister was jealous and tried to borrow your dress. Make it all sound dramatic. But it wasn't drama. It was documentation. It was premeditated fraud, and she had no idea how much we had already uncovered. Delilah underestimated everything, me, Marcus, and how deep we were willing to go for the truth. When the police arrived, it wasn't a dramatic movie scene. No sirens, no shouting, just two quiet officers, calm but sharp, asking simple questions. And Delilah, she crumbled. Not all at once. At first, she tried to act confused, asked if it was a joke, said she had no idea what was happening. But the officers had already reviewed the footage, the screenshots, the venue contracts, the florist emails. They'd seen it all. When they read her the charges, fraud, identity theft, attempted impersonation, she didn't cry. She didn't plead. She just kept blinking, like the world had suddenly gone blurry. As they placed her in cuffs, she looked back at me like I was the villain, like I was the one who had crossed some invisible line. But I didn't feel guilty, not even a little. I felt relief, like I could breathe again. Later that night, after everything settled, I found myself staring at the wedding folder on my laptop. Everything had been touched, contaminated, like fingerprints all over memories that were supposed to be mine and Marcus's. But we didn't cancel anything. We secured it tighter, changed passwords, called every vendor personally, verified everything with ID and backup contacts. The ones who'd been tricked were mortified. They bent over backwards to make things right. And still, a part of me felt haunted. Not by what she did, but by how long I let it go unnoticed. How many moments I ignored the signs, brushed off her jealousy as harmless, excused her passive-aggressive jabs as just sister stuff. I'd normalized the toxicity until it nearly devoured the most important day of my life. Telling my parents was another wound entirely. My mom broke. That kind of heartbreak you hear in the silence between words. My dad just sat there, jaw clenched, eyes stuck to the floor. They tried to rationalize it, said she needed help, therapy, time. But I had no room left for excuses. I'd spent a lifetime shrinking my joy so she wouldn't feel small. That was over now. We kept the wedding date. June 15th. Same venue, same vendors. But with security measures no one had ever thought necessary for a wedding. No shared folders, no access links. Every detail was locked down like a state secret. And somehow, it made the day feel even more sacred. When I stepped into my real dress, not the copy she'd tried to commission, I felt something break off my shoulders. Something I hadn't even realized I'd been carrying. It wasn't just fabric and lace. It was mine. It had survived. I had survived. As I walked down that aisle, every step felt like reclaiming something. Not just from her. From the years I spent doubting myself. From the belief that keeping the peace was more important than protecting my peace. Marcus waited for me with that same steady calm he always had, but this time, I saw something else behind his eyes. Not just love, respect. We said our vows surrounded by people who knew the whole story, not the gossip, but the truth. And they didn't look at me with pity. They looked at me like someone who had clawed her way back to the light, who had chosen to burn the bridge instead of letting it collapse beneath her feet. She's been here. Look at the activity logs, screenshots, downloads, updates, florist preferences, cake sketches, photographer portfolios, all accessed 2 nights ago. How? I asked, but I already knew. 3 months ago, she offered to help with the planning, to support me, she said, to make up for how weird she'd been at the engagement party. So I shared the folder. I invited the snake into the garden. Check everything, Marcus said. Vendors, contracts, bookings, all of it. We divided and conquered, calling one by one. The florist had received a name change request. The photographer had been asked about rescheduling and switching names on their files. The baker? Someone emailed asking if they could replicate our cake design for a friend's event. But the worst call came from the dress boutique. "Oh, Miss Collins," the consultant chirped. "Yes, your sister was here yesterday. Said you sent her to double-check alterations since you weren't feeling well." "I didn't send her." "Oh." Silence. Then, slowly, "Well, she had your order number." She seemed to know all the details. I pressed the phone harder to my ear. "Did she try it on?" "She didn't ask to, but she took a lot of photos. Said you wanted close-ups of the beadwork." It hit me like a slap. The photo shoot. She never wanted the dress for some artsy project. She was studying it, plotting. "She's going to wear it," I whispered. Marcus was staring at his phone now. "Remember when she asked to see my driver's license last month? Said it was for an apartment application." "Yeah? I just ran a credit check. She tried to add herself as an authorized user on 3 of my cards." I didn't speak. Couldn't. My throat closed around something hot and sharp. This wasn't just about a dress or a venue. She was trying to become me, piece by piece, name by name. My future, hijacked like a stolen car. "We need to go to the police," Marcus said. "She's my sister," I whispered. The words felt hollow. "She's trying to steal your life, Vera." And for once, I couldn't argue. Just then, another text came through. "Delilah. So can I borrow the dress or not?" With a little camera emoji. That emoji broke me. Like it was nothing. Like this was some cute, sisterly moment. I showed the text to Marcus. He read it, then looked at me. "What do you want to do?" I stared at the screen for a long time. My hand stopped trembling. My voice didn't. "Tell her yes," I said. "Tell her to come over tonight." He blinked. "What?" I looked him in the eye. "We get proof. She wants to play games? She'll do it on camera." That night, I set the stage like a silent trap. Laptop open, webcam rolling, screen dimmed to black. I told myself I wasn't doing this for revenge, just the truth. Marcus stayed in the bedroom with the door cracked, his phone already dialed to 911 just in case. At exactly 8 p.m., she arrived, wearing that too sweet perfume I'd once borrowed before a high school dance. She carried a bottle of wine and that same artificial smile she wore when she wanted something. "You're the best sister ever." She beamed as I let her in, like none of this was abnormal. "So, tell me about the shoot," I said, pouring her a glass. She waved it off casually. "Just a creative thing. You know me. Always experimenting." I let her talk, let her spin whatever illusion she thought would hold. But then I asked, "Like that ring you posted?" Her eyes twitched. Not enough for a stranger to notice, but I knew her too well. "What ring?" she asked. I pulled up her Instagram, showed her the photo. "This one looks a lot like Marcus's grandmother's ring." She stared for a beat too long. "Inspiration photos," she mumbled. "For the vibe." "And Rosemont Gardens?" "Also inspiration?" She stiffened, the mask cracking just enough for the truth to peek through. "Why my wedding date, Delilah?" I asked, calm. And just like that, no screaming, no warning, the real her emerged. "You always get everything," she whispered. Not just words, it was a confession soaked in venom. "Perfect grades, perfect job, perfect man. Do you know what it's like to be the failure? To always be 2 steps behind?" I stared at her, frozen. "So you thought, what? Replace me? Hijack my wedding and pretend you were me?" She laughed. Actually laughed. "No, Vera. I was going to do you a favor. Show up before you. Tell the guests the wedding was off. Say Marcus had chosen me. Save you the embarrassment." I couldn't breathe. That's not just twisted, it's criminal. She took a sip of wine, like I'd complimented her. No one would have believed you, Vera. Not over me. You always play the victim, but deep down, you think you're better than everyone. She texted me while I was scrambling eggs. Just a casual message. Hey, can I borrow your wedding dress? It's for a photo shoot. No explanation, no emoji, just that. And for half a second, I almost typed, sure. Because that's what sisters do, right? We share. We pretend trust is permanent, even when it's been fraying for years. But before I could respond, Marcus, my fiancé, froze mid-sip, his mug hovering like it suddenly weighed a ton. Check her Instagram, he said. His voice was too steady, like someone holding a scream behind their teeth. I glanced up from the skillet. Why? He didn't blink. Just do it, Vera. That was all. No sarcasm, no eye roll, just quiet urgency. Marcus isn't dramatic. If anything, he underreacts to everything. So when he sets his coffee down with trembling fingers, I listen. I open the app. Delilah's profile glows on my screen. Always filtered. Always pretending. She'd posted 3 hours ago. 3 a.m. Which is wild, because Delilah treats early mornings like war crimes. The first photo seemed harmless. Her at some rooftop bar, drink in hand, wearing that tight, fake smile she uses like armor. Marcus didn't wait. He reached over and swiped left. And that's when my stomach twisted. There she was, Delilah, wearing a wedding dress. Not just any dress. My dress. The same off-shoulder silhouette, the same delicate beading I'd picked out in tears with my mother, the same sweeping train I'd imagined trailing behind me on the best day of my life. She was standing in what looked like a boutique, posing like it was her big day. And the caption? When you know, the ring shines brighter. Followed by hashtags, bride to be, car found, the one. I couldn't breathe. Marcus didn't flinch. Keep scrolling, he said, his voice quieter now, like he was bracing for an earthquake. So I did. The next photo showed her hand. My ring. The heirloom I'd only shown her once. The one Marcus's grandmother left him in her will. The one that was supposed to stay locked away until June 15th, the day we'd chosen. But there it was, shining on Delilah's finger, followed by a stylized save-the-date graphic. Her name. His name. Delilah and Marcus. June 15th, 2025. Our date. Our venue. Our wedding. I dropped the phone. My legs wouldn't move. I was stuck between disbelief and some sick sense of déjà vu, like I was watching my life dissolve frame by frame. She's trying to take our wedding, I whispered. Even as I said it, the words didn't sound real. They sounded ridiculous, like the plot of a cheap drama. But Marcus's face was locked in this terrifying stillness. Check the tagged location, he said. So I did. Rosemont Gardens. Our venue. The one we booked 8 months ago with a non-refundable deposit. The one that had suddenly reported a mysterious double booking just last week. I wanted to scream, but all that came out was a breath, a crack in the center of my chest. This can't be real, I said. She can't just steal a wedding. Marcus didn't answer. He was already on his phone. Check your email, he said. The venue. His tone told me he already knew what I'd find, and when I opened my inbox, there it was, an email from Rosemont Gardens regarding the double booking. The other bride? Listed as D. Morrison, Delilah, my sister, my blood. And suddenly, all I could see was her face from our engagement party. Drunk, bitter, whispering how I always got everything. And maybe she'd meant it more than I ever realized. Marcus was already moving. Call the venue, now. My fingers fumbled across the screen as I dialed Rosemont Gardens, heart pounding like it was trying to escape my chest. When the event coordinator answered, she sounded almost relieved. "Oh, Miss Collins, I'm so glad you called. We just need verbal confirmation on the name change to finalize the contract update." I blinked. "What name change?" A pause. Then, hesitant. "The email? From last night? Requesting to change the bride's name from Vera Collins to Delilah Collins?" I gripped the counter. "I didn't send any email. That wasn't me." The line went quiet for a beat, then she cleared her throat. "Well, it came from your address. It had all your booking details, security code, reference numbers, everything." My skin went cold. "Do not change anything. Do you understand? I'll come in person with my ID." "Yes, of course," she replied quickly. "We'll put everything on hold." I hung up and looked at Marcus. She has everything. Our emails, the vendor list, the calendar. He was already one step ahead, inside our shared wedding folder. His eyes scanned quickly, then narrowed. "Just a quick text from my sister. Hey, can I borrow your dress for a photo shoot?" Harmless, right? That's what I thought. Until my fiancé saw the message and told me to check her Instagram. What I found there made my stomach drop, because she wasn't planning a photo shoot. She was planning to be me, at my wedding, in my dress, on my date, at my venue. And that was just the beginning. You know what betrayal feels like? It doesn't show up screaming. It knocks softly, wearing a familiar face, calling you sister, and asking to borrow your wedding dress. I was flipping pancakes when the message came through.